The power industry is the most crucial and strategic sector for any country to achieve its vision. Due to the fast depletion and high cost of fossil fuel, this is now a threat to sustainable growth. Attention is now focused on renewable energies as an alternative. In Malaysia, renewable energy was included in the 8th Malaysia Plan, 2000 to 2005, with a target of 500 megawatts out of the 20,000 megawatts total generation capacity. The energy demand in Malaysia has shown a dramatic increase over the last few years, with natural gas and coal being the primary contributors. Nevertheless, due to declining in fossil fuel reserves coupled with negative environmental impacts, shifting to sustainable renewable energy for meeting the future energy demand is recommended. Since Malaysia is rich with natural resources, utilization of biomass energy, bioenergy, biofuel, as the alternative energy is promising to be further explored. Presently, continuous efforts and researches are focused on biomass as an alternative for power generation, whereby numerous agricultural and forest residues are turned out to be useful energy and applicable products. Malaysia produces more than 103 million tons of biomass, including agricultural waste, forest residues and municipal waste. Agricultural waste represents 91% of the biomass amount, of which most is derived from palm oil mill residues. In Malaysia, biomass contributes about 14% of the approximately 340 million barrels of oil equivalent of energy used every year. There are 5 major sectors that contribute wastes to the biomass energy in Malaysia, which are forestry, wood products, rubber cultivation, cocoa cultivation, sugar cane cultivation and oil palm cultivation. The oil palm industry is a leading contributor of biomass in Malaysia. Hence, it has a great prospect to be commercialized for bioenergy production. To date, bioenergy, particularly palm biodiesel, has emerged as a potential sustainable and eco-fuel in Malaysia, due to its resemblance with the conventional diesel with respect to chemical structure and energy content, low sulfur content, non-toxicity, and high biodegradability, as well as good combustion efficiency. Referring to the Malaysian Palm Oil Board, MPOB, local biodiesel demand increased to 529,000 tons in October 2019 and surpasses the initial estimation of 520,000, which is attributed to the enforcement of B10 biodiesel program in February 2019 for the transportation sector. Apart from biodiesel production, biomass conversion to bioethanol is also a promising sector. While biodiesel is used as a substitute for conventional diesel fuel, bioethanol can be used as a replacement for gasoline and fossil petrol. However, unlike the biodiesel, bioethanol has not been emphasized in the country. It has been reported that Malaysia does not have the bioethanol program due to lacking in domestic feedstock. Hence, it is infeasible to implement a renewable program that heavily relies on imported feedstock, regardless of various benefits of this renewable energy. In addition, biogas as potential biomass energy is gradually emerging in Malaysia. It has been reported that the potential of biogas industry can reach to ringgit Malaysia of 8.3 billion, US dollar of 2.3 billion, by year 2022. Possibly contributed by different biomass sources including agricultural waste, crop residue, animal manure, domestic and household waste, amongst others. Further, biohydrogen as parts of biomass energy also plays a significant role. The biohydrogen from the biomass is the backbone of hydrogen economy due to its sustainability and environmental friendly properties. Besides, cost of hydrogen production from biomass pathway is significantly lower of ringgit Malaysia 1.25 to 2.83 per kilogram, as compared to electrolysis. However, it has been reported that the hydrogen production from agricultural residues, including palm biomass, is relatively small and has not been commercialized yet. The Malaysian government had been actively engaging key public stakeholders to encourage the use of biomass for alternative energy source. In 2000, the Malaysian government had launched the Fifth Fuel Policy, 5FP 2000, that integrated renewable energy as the fifth fuel in the then 8th Malaysian Plan from 2001 to 2005. Although the policy had focused on other sources of renewable energy such as hydropower and solar technology, biomass and biofuels were also inclusive. To complement with the 5FP 2000 policy, the government had also launched the Small Renewable Energy Power (SREP) program in 2001 to encourage the production of renewable energy by small generators and sales of generated electricity to utilities. In addition, several incentives such as investment tax allowance or pioneer status were introduced in bid to promote the use of renewable energy based on the SREP program in Malaysia. The National Biofuel Policy 2006, NBP 2006, was announced in 2005 to strategically position the biofuels in the transportation, industry, technologies, export, and in cleaner environment. Besides, in 2010, the Renewable Energy Act was initiated to implement a special tariff system as an effort to manage the renewable energy generation and guaranteed access to national grid for the participating parties. Consequently, SEDA was established under the Act 726 in December 2011 to oversee the implementation of FIT by 2015, and to ensure that the renewable energy consists of 17% of the total fuel mix by 2020. Regardless of numerous advantages of the biomass energy, abundance of the biomass sources in the country, along with the multiple initiatives by the government and respective agencies, there are several challenges for its implementation in a large scale. These challenges can be grouped into several categories, including technical, financial, economic, social, environmental impact, sustainability, and lacking in institutional, organizational issues. Basically, slow evolution of biomass energy in Malaysia can be attributed to the technical challenges incorporating the technological barrier as well as unavailability in technical experts. Due to an absence in local advanced technologies, most of the technologies have been imported from the foreign countries. As such, this implies high production and maintenance cost. Several actions could be considered to mitigate and lighten up the issues, such as collaborative work between the government and educational institutions to provide skill and workforce training as well as knowledge inputs to skilled personnel and human resources. Joint development opportunities between the countries are a good way for sharing the expertise and towards the development of bioenergy technologies. Accordingly, can transform Malaysia as a bioeconomy hub in the Southeast Asia region. Another technical barrier that is faced in the bioenergy deployment in Malaysia is interrelated to infrastructural barriers. Ideally, distance between the renewable energy plant and the interconnection point of the distribution system needs to be within 10 kilometers distance to prevent the power loss. The financial or economic barrier is amongst the common challenge faced in fostering the biomass energy in Malaysia. Basically, the economic barrier includes several criteria including the high capital expenditure, lack of experience, trust amongst financiers and/or investors, absence in the appropriate financing scheme, and competition from fossil fuel, as well as fewer subsidies as compared to the conventional fuel. In terms of financial assistance, the support can be from commercial bank, developmental financing institution, capital market, angel investor, and venture capital firms, as well as technology manufacturers and suppliers. Provide clear vision and goals of the developed biomass program. Make good communication within related interested investors and to comply with related regulation required. Government to providing proper investment, incentives and subsidiaries scheme to the related bio-generated electricity fields. In context of social issues, the challenges for the biomass energy implementation are related to the market, or consumer, acceptance and community acceptance, as well as socio-political acceptance. Improving consumer, community, and socio-political acceptance of a biomass program requires a comprehensive approach that addresses environmental, economic, and social concerns. Here are some strategies to improve acceptance. Launch a public awareness campaign to educate consumers, community members, and policymakers about the benefits and drawbacks of biomass programs. Use various media channels, such as websites, social media, public meetings, and educational workshops, to disseminate information and engage with the public. Engage with the local community through public hearings, community meetings, and forums to address concerns, gather input, and build trust. Establish community advisory boards or councils to provide ongoing input and oversight. Engage with policymakers and legislators to advocate for supportive policies and regulations that promote clean and sustainable biomass energy. Participate in legislative hearings and provide data-backed arguments for the benefits of biomass programs. Though the biomass energy has been perceived as a renewable and clean energy, there are also several environmental challenges included, such as air pollution. Biomass combustion can emit pollutants such as particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, and volatile organic compounds. Deforestation and land use change. Unsustainable biomass sourcing practices, such as clear-cutting forests or converting natural habitats into biomass plantations, can lead to deforestation and biodiversity loss. Water usage and pollution. Biomass processing and cultivation can require significant water resources and may lead to water pollution if not managed properly. Habitat disruption. Large-scale biomass plantations can disrupt local ecosystems and displace native species, impacting biodiversity. To minimize the negative environmental impacts of biomass energy and maximize its benefits, several strategies can be implemented. Sustainable sourcing. Ensure that biomass feedstock is sourced sustainably, with a focus on responsible land use and conservation practices. Air pollution control. Implement effective pollution control measures to reduce emissions of harmful pollutants. Biodiversity conservation. Consider the environmental impact on local ecosystems and implement mitigation measures to protect biodiversity. Water management. Manage water resources efficiently and implement safeguards to prevent water pollution. Policy and regulation. Enforce and implement regulations that promote sustainable biomass practices and emissions reductions. The bioenergy industry also faces several sustainability challenges that need to be carefully managed to ensure that its growth and development contribute positively to environmental and social goals, such as feedstock sustainability. If it is not sourced sustainably, it can lead to deforestation, habitat destruction, soil degradation, and competition with food crops for land and water resources. Competition for resources such as arable land and water, between food production, bioenergy crops, and other land uses can raise concerns about food security and sustainability. Energy efficiency. The energy balance of biomass to energy processes must be carefully considered. In some cases, the energy input required for cultivation, harvesting, and processing may approach or exceed the energy output from bioenergy, undermining its sustainability. Mitigating the sustainability challenges in the bioenergy industry requires a combination of policy measures, technological advancements, and best practices such as sustainable sourcing. Establish and enforce regulations and certification schemes that promote the sustainable sourcing of biomass feedstock, including requirements for responsible land management and conservation practices. Resource allocation. Develop policies and incentives that promote responsible resource allocation, taking into account the needs of food production, bioenergy, and conservation. Efficiency improvements. Invest in research and development to improve the energy efficiency of biomass to energy processes. Biomass has several advantages and disadvantages as a renewable energy source, and the overall conclusion regarding its suitability depends on various factors, including how it is sourced, processed, and utilized. It has the potential to be a renewable energy source in Malaysia that contributes to a sustainable energy transition, and it plays a role in a diversified and sustainable energy portfolio. But its impact must be carefully managed to minimize negative environmental and social consequences.